Hi, guys. I hope you're doing great. It's an honor and pleasure to be with you again here. In our last session, we talked about the epic battle between fear and love. We talked about our ability to respond versus react, right? We talked about the fact that you really can react without thinking, but it's very challenging to respond without training. And so I want to follow up now a little bit with you and talk about some training that'll help you be able to respond as compared to react. And this is going to take some work. I'm going to be honest with you, it's probably going to take a lot more than you can imagine. Because when you're upset, um, you throw it out the window, right? What's the old saying? All's fair in love and war. Well, that's not true. Maybe it is in, I don't know, war, but I don't know. Is it? No, not really. And so we have a real big issue here. And I'm hoping to be able to dig into it because if our only options are fight, flight, or freeze, and all those lead to disconnection, then where's the powerful option? And so we need to dig into the subject of learning how to respond versus reacting. We need to learn how to ultimately be connected to connection. Committed and ultimately committed to connection. We need to be in that place where in our heart of hearts we can honestly say, my goal is restoration. My goal is your powerful position to do great things in life. My goal is for you to rise up and to be magnificent in this world. My goal is for you to use the challenges that have occurred here as an opportunity of promotion to go out and inspire people to avoid or to heal from similar devastations. Every time I went through a challenge, I remember when my grandmother passed away, a guy named Joe Folio went for a walk with me on the beach. And it changed my perspective of life because he had recently lost someone very close to him. And it impacted my life in a great way. And oftentimes it's those great challenges that people go through that help them understand. I have a dear friend, Peter McKenna, who openly talks about his challenge with alcohol in his early years of his life and how it shaped him and devastated him, and the love and grace that his wife did in order to get through the years of that. And yet how it shaped him to be such a compassionate leader now, to impact people's lives. And he's impacted my life in a great way because he has this grace about him, this patience, this peace, because he's been through such devastation in his life that he now walks in a way that he understands compassion to suffer with, calm with, passion to suffer. And so let me just start off by understanding the foundations. And I want to give you 5 tools, okay? The foundation, it is not my job to control you. It is my job to control me, okay? Now, one of the great challenges that happens in our world is when people act in ways that we couldn't imagine acting. One of the most common ways this argument starts off is, I would never do that to you. I would never do such a thing. And this is a real challenge, and we'll talk about this later, but in short, if your comparison of how you act is the level of playing field that all other people have to kind of kowtow to, that's a problem, right? If you're expecting that your standard is their standard, you've made a huge mistake. To say that you expect something from someone because you expect it from yourself is unreasonable. It doesn't match the covenant that it's not my job to control you, it's my job to control me. So what do we do, right? What do we do? Well, first and foremost, understand our number one goal is to protect and build our connection. That's our number one overarching goal. Okay, so when things come at us and things are pissing you off or things are hurting you or someone's done something that's wrong, first thing you have to say is, I am committed to a connection and I am committed to finding a solution. It may require a timeout. It may require some healthy boundaries. But I am about trying to find a way to restore greatness so that this challenge in your world that you brought into my world doesn't go on to someone else's world. That I'm going to be part of the solution and solving this as compared to passing it down the line. So here we go. Let's dig into it. Okay, we've got to find out what it is that's most important. And here's the number one thing is, number one tool. You have to be able to communicate in ways that those people understand them. Okay? Now, it doesn't matter if you're the offender or the offense. I'm going to get into the differentials in a second here. But first and foremost, you have got to let people know that you love them. You cannot let there be any doubt. Right? You cannot let there be any doubt, okay, that you love them. You must make it clear, and you must communicate it in ways they do. Now, the challenge with this always is, okay, well, so I'm mad and I'm upset and what? Well, how hard is it to say, I want you to know no matter what, I love you. I want you to know no matter what, I am connected to this relationship. How hard is that? I guess it's hard because we want to rip, man. We want to run. We want to hide. We want to banish. We want to create space. We want to disconnect. I got to get away from you, okay? And the challenge is when anxiety increases, love decreases, and when we react with that, then we tear the veil of connection. And if we're going to use our kingdom mindset on earth as in heaven, if we're going to be committed to connection, we can't be anything but I need you to know. So I guess I'm kind of making the point one and point two together, but number one is you need to learn to communicate love in ways that they understand it. So you got to dig into their love language, understand if it's gifts, understand if it's words, understand if it's time. And if it's time, then you better go sit with them. If it's words, then you better learn to use words. If it's acts of service, then you better find a way to let them know that they are loved, that they are valuable. And boy, it's oftentimes the last thing you want to do when you're pissed and upset. But what's your goal? To be right? Them to be wrong? Is your goal for you to be powerful and them to be powerless? Is your goal for them to hang their head? Is your goal for you to be right and them wrong and everybody in the world to know it? Is your goal for vengeance? Or what's your goal? I would hope your goal is to create a powerful human being that it can impact the world. To set them on fire. Right? Isn't that our covenant? Isn't that what our life is all about? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Is building lights in the world that can go out and make an impact? So when there's challenges, when there's struggles, this is your time to dig in. This is your opportunity. My pastor years ago said, the great thing about failure, it gives me the opportunity to honor my God in a way that I can't do in heaven. Because in heaven, there will be no failure. There will be no shame and punishment and bad mistakes. So only here, in this realm of failure, do I have the opportunity to really express honor and do the right thing because it's the right thing. Woo! Okay, now, that may sound like fun all of a sudden, but when you're in the middle of it, it's not fun because it seems weak. Right? Because our system is so designed around you failed, I'm now powerful, you're not. I now hold all the cards and I can get my machine gun out and I can whittle you down to the point where I can control you and stuff you down. That's the problem. Because your goal is not connection, your goal is control and power. Your goal is not love and restoration, your goal is diminishing and banishing and make you feel so small, so I'm big and you're not. Give me all of your control or shut up and go away. That's a problem. As stated before, the problem is that we leave people so powerless they have nothing left to go fix the issue, and that's an issue. All right? All right, so let's move on. Step number 3, okay? This is a hard one, okay? But you got to be open to feedback. All right? You got to have the willingness to have a conversation. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, that means that you may have a piece in the pie. It's like coming back to, you make me so mad. That is such a load of crap, okay? I get mad when you do certain things, but you don't make me mad. I choose to get mad. So no one makes you do jack. Let's get off that whole subject. No one's making you do anything, okay? The devil made me do it. Did not, okay? You did. You were given a thing called free will and choice, and you chose to make those choices. Just like I did when I made my mistakes, the things that I had to deal with. I made those choices. No one made me. No one made me. I did them on my own justification, wrong as they were. So own it. At the same time, if you're the person that has been injured, then find a way to be open. Have a conversation because there's always things to learn. And then if you're the person that's made the mistake, then be open to feedback and be deliberate about your changes. You see, the challenge is that oftentimes punishment is sentenced out to satisfy the congregation, the tribe, the team, more than it is to actually deal with the issue or punish the perp. It's really designed to satisfy those that felt they were offended. They might have been just bystanders. They may have just been third party, fourth party, fifth party. But for some reason, the crowd demands a punishment, which put Jesus on the cross. It demanded, and that's oftentimes punishment is sentenced out because of a desire to satisfy the crowd, which is completely wackadoo because it has nothing to do with anything. But oftentimes we're more concerned about what the crowd will think, so we do something to make sure the crowd's happy versus let's deal with the issue. Isn't it amazing when you really dig in these things, how many things are made to satisfy all these people that had nothing to do with it, but if you don't do something, these people will now lose respect for you. They will now think you're weak. They will think you're a pushover. They think you're dishonorable. If you don't punish, they're going to do this. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing to me that if people think that if I don't punish, people are going to think I'm weak and that people can get away with it. It is such a broken philosophy to think that the only thing that works is punishment. It's such an old, thousands of year old, archaic system that believes that punishment is the only solution. And the fact of the matter is, it's not even a solution that works. In fact, it probably works so rarely, I can't even think of it as being a solution. The only sustainable thing is revelation. Revelation is a complete revamping of how I think. And the only what's going to happen is I need to be completely rebuilt from what? From a position of strength, power, and love. Right? I need to develop this part of my life so I can begin to build a foundation that then I can make better decisions on who I am. But if my identity is crushed down to be so powerless, how can I have any strength to go out and really make these great impacts? It's about restoring. So be open to feedback and be deliberate. This way, away you go. Be willing to say, how am I doing? Be willing to say, how am I doing? Now, if you're the person that's been hurt, and someone says, how you doing? What are you going to do then? Is it your opportunity to slap them again? Is it your opportunity to remind them again? Is it your opportunity to say, well, pretty good, but don't forget. Or is it your opportunity to say, I'm so proud of you. Keep going. Keep digging in. You're doing great. Tell me about this. Tell me that. How we work on things. And then away you go. Okay? All right, so here's the fourth step. Okay? Let's say that you are the person that's been offended. Okay? And most of these things are kind of designed around this because that's really the issue. Is how do we treat people? And I'm going to go into this in a second here, but here's what it boils down to. How do you address how you feel without blaming? Okay? You've got to learn how to address how you feel without saying you made me, okay? Because they didn't. And blaming creates what? Defensiveness. If I blame you, you're going to get defensive. Why? It's human nature, right? So it's like saying something like, you make me mad when you don't call me when you're going to be late. Okay. Here's a better way to say it. I just want you to know how I feel. I feel a little disrespected when this happens. I'm sure it's not your intentions, but it's how I feel. And I want you to address that. Okay? And now that person has the opportunity to respond to that. Okay? And I'm going to talk about that here in a second here. Okay? But I want you to learn how to express how you feel without saying it's their fault. Okay? Because that's not the goal, is to blame. The goal is for what? What's our goal? Our goal is for them to know that hurts you, that you're feeling hurt as a result of that, and then that gives them the opportunity to make the correction in their behavior. But if all I do is I paint you in a corner that you're a mean person and you're awful and you've done this, then there's really no exit strategy, right? So this leads us to the opportunity for people to choose how they're going to respond. Okay? When someone shows you what's going on inside them, when someone's able to say, hey, I feel like this when this happens, then you, hearing this, have the opportunity to show how much you love them by responding to protect the connection. So, I had a guy once, I said, hey, buddy, I feel really violated and really disrespected when this happens. I'd like to feel this way, and I just want to know if that's important to you. And all he could say was, "Oh, Brad, stop being such a wussy." And he didn't use that word. Stop being such a pain in the butt. Oh my God, Mr. Softy, Mr. Fragile, Mr. Sensitive. Come on, get over it. Suck it up, Buttercup. And I was like, whoa, that strategy didn't work at all, because I was trying to be transparent. I was trying to say this is what's going on inside of me without blaming them. But they considered a point of weakness, and so they came at me. So what were my choices then? My choices were to say, well, I've given you an opportunity to know how I feel. You've taken the opportunity to offend me again. So I'm going to create space between you and me, so you can take some time to think about this, so we can revisit this in a way that we both can be powerful about protecting our connection. Because if you're not interested in protecting a relationship, protecting a connection, then I don't want a relationship, because I'm not going to have any victims or powerless people around me. And we need to create safe boundaries between us, because that's not going to be, I'm just not going to live my life in that zone. And we eventually chose to completely separate, and I don't really have conversations with that guy anymore. We just chose to agree to disagree. But here's the deal: when you can show someone what's going on in your heart, then they have the opportunity to respond in a way that protects the connection. And this is such a huge thing. Okay, so if I say to Shelly, "Hey, I really feel undervalued um, when this happens. And I just want you to know that that's how I feel. I'm not blaming you, but it's how I feel." It's a very awkward conversation to have, okay? Because to me, it sounds so soft. Like, just get to the point. Because most people think the point is, here comes the bomb and the dagger. I'm going to insult you and attack you and tell you how mean you are. But that's not my goal. My goal is to protect the connection. So my goal is to tell what's going on inside of me, to be transparent into me you see, so then you can respond in a way that protects the relationship, to a point where you can say, "I understand how you feel. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to work on that. You're important to me. This relationship's the most important thing to me. I value how you feel, and I appreciate you having the courage to bring it to my attention." Holy smokes, folks, if you can learn how to communicate in this way, so much goes away. Now, the challenge is if you're trying to be powerful and you're dealing with a complete powerless person, they are just going to come after you. And so you have to learn how to say, whoa, 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 time, time, time. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to fight you with words. I'm not going to fight you with anger. I'm not going to fight you with condemnation. I'm not going to fight you with threats and manipulation. I am going to remain powerful. And when you can have a conversation with me, staying powerful, without blaming, without victimizing, without insulting, then I'm willing to reopen this conversation. But if you're going to continue to throw darts, I'm removing the dartboard, because I'm not going to participate. And then hopefully you can get them on some books and some modules that'll help them wake up, okay? So the fifth key here is, how do you create a pain-free, punishment-free, fear-free, control-free plan for dealing with conflict? How can we do that? How can we create a system that is pain-free, punishment-free, conflict-free, fear-free? How do we do that? Well, I'm going to probably do some more audios in this in the future, but basically what it boils down to is, you can hurt me, but you cannot make me turn my love off. And that's what it basically boils down to. You can hurt me, but you cannot make my turn my love off. People that I've created separation with, I still love them. I'm just not going to spend time with them until they can be powerful. If they can be powerful, then I want to restore, and I want to have a great relationship with them. But if they're not willing to act powerfully and act honorably and have a communication at a high level, then I'm just not going to do it. But I still love them. Why do I love them? Because they're childs of the same God that I love, and I am commanded to love all of his creations. I'm commanded to be walking in grace and love and kindness. And it doesn't mean I'm going to restore them, but it doesn't mean I'm going to hold any bitterness to them, because bitterness only hurts me, right? Bitterness and anger only hurts me. It's me being mad, hoping you feel it when you don't. It's me drinking Kool-Aid, trying to drinking poison, trying to kill you. It doesn't work. So again, what's the goal? The goal is connection. The goal is to come together. How do we create this punishment-free? Well, I'm going to go through a whole thing in the future, but just not to leave you hanging. It basically goes like this. First thing you do is you approach them with a spirit of timidity and grace, knowing that you too could fall into the same pit. You let them know that love is not to be compromised here, that you're important to me. I value you. You're incredible. Some things have happened. We're going to have to figure out why. And we're going to ask powerful questions without blaming, without accusation, without powerlessness. And we're going to figure out the source of the belief system that gave you permission to act that way. And then we're going to talk about doing great things in the future. And maybe we got to develop some incremental steps to restore, because there may be some time that needs to be developed through there, and we're going to work on that. But we're going to have a plan of grace and restoration, not guilt and condemnation. I'm going to give you a much greater, a broader expansion of that in the future. So hang in there. I don't expect you to get all that, because that was a big doozy one right there. But we'll get into that at a later time, okay? Just remember that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but he gave us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind, right? So we don't need to work in the spirit of fear. We have the spirit of power and love, powerful love, and a sound mind to make quality choices, to represent and carry and embody the presence of love to a point where our body responds to our heart, which is, I want a relationship with you on earth as in heaven. There is no fear in love. God's word says that perfect love, which I believe is Jesus, casts out all fear. It says because fear has nothing to do, fear has to do with punishment. And those that are in fear have not been made perfect in love. Does that make sense? Love trumps it. If you're still working in fear, you haven't been made perfect in love, which means you haven't gone through the full transformation. You're still operating from fear and from condemnation, which means you really haven't experienced the conversion of being just saturated with love. And again, I mean, if you're not down for faith and that doesn't make sense, sounds too fluffy to you, then use a universal concept of love. But we all know the power of love, and it does conquer all things. And if we're still partnering with fear and intimidation, then we're not partnering with love and grace. And how are we going to get where we want to get? The spirit of fear is powerlessness. Powerlessness says it's your fault. You have to fix it. As compared to, who are you? Let's get back to your identity. Let's get back to the truth of who you are. Because if you knew who you were, you wouldn't do what you've done. So if I can help you begin to know who you are, you'll be powerful enough to fix your problem, and you'll be powerful enough to say no the next time that temptation comes about you. But boy, does that take a lot more work. It's going to take more than you could possibly imagine, more than you could even probably at this point dream up. Because it sounds good, yeah. But boy, is it hard when you're the person that's been hurt. And all I can ask you is learn to respond versus react. And it's going to take a lot of training and a lot of preparation. And all I can say is the next time you feel offended, the next time you feel justified, right? Take a pause. Someone else's actions do not give you permission for your action. There is no such thing as tit for tat. There's no such thing, you did, so I did, then you did, then I did. That is garbage in a powerful world. Your actions do not justify my reactions, and my actions do not justify your reactions. I own my own actions and my reactions, and they are not reactions anymore. They are responses from a heart of love. Woo! Sounds crazy, sounds fluffy, but it's the real. And if you'll dig in, I'm telling you, this has taken me 10 years, well, 8.5 years consistently studying this to really get this anchored in my heart. And I'm not perfect. I still don't do it right. Someone makes me mad, and there I go. Makes me mad, right? Something happens, and and every time I say that makes me mad, I go, oh, pause. So I'm in training. But I got the fundamentals, because I can't respond without training. I can only react. Anyways, guys. Enough's enough. I hope that makes sense. 5 tools, couple tips. Dig in. What's your goal? What's your goal? Isn't it deep, long-lasting, loving relationships where you can be honest with each other, where you can serve each other, where you can care for each other, where you can be powerful for each other, where you can help each other, where you can expand each other? Well, let's be committed to that, guys, because no one walks a perfect line, right? It's funny how it's really convenient to ask for grace, but boy, is it difficult to deploy grace. But when you're full of mercy, all you want to do is the dispenser of grace. That's the beauty of going through hard times, is that you are full of mercy, so you want to dispense grace because you know what it took to get where you're at. I know what it took for me to get where I'm at. I know the shame and the guilt, the condemnation. I know the fear and the anger and the bitterness, resentment. I know. And if I hadn't gone through this full process, there's no way on God's earth that I would be where I'm at today. So in a weird way, I'm grateful. I wouldn't want to do it again, and I never will, but I'm grateful as a result of it. I hope this has had an impact on you. Thank you for 25, 26 minutes of your time. God bless you, and I'll look forward to hearing your comments. Feel free to write me or connect with me in any way you want. If I can help you, I will do everything I can. God bless you. Let's do it.